My mic is on. I just okay. I hear. Is this Emily? Good morning.
Good morning, Terry. How you doing?
Very good. Thank you.
Good morning, Tonya, and good morning, Brent.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody.
And I'm just trying to get our link.
Good morning, everyone.
Our guest.
Okay, let me get my microphone stand. We are live right now on all the social network. I really didn't want to come back today. I look forward to Monday, but then today I was like, oh, I still didn't get to do all the stuff I need to get done. But it's a new week.
It's my birthday today, so I was like,
I know.
Yeah, I was like scrambling to get stuff done this weekend and last week. So I was like, all right, at least I don't have to do anything today. I can, like, yeah. This is the most I'm doing today.
Well, thank you for being here. Let me. Oh, hey, Leah. I was gonna wish you happy birthday, but I was having issue with a Facebook business thing, the Meta thing or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for some reason it wouldn't let me upload the videos. It let me do a couple, but then when I don't know, they want us to run ads.
Oh, interesting.
Hi, Tonya.
Hi, Terry.
Hi.
So, let me send Erin. Do you want me to? I'll DM Erin because she followed AWC SF. So hold on.
Okay.
There we go. There she is. Here's our guest of honor.
Good morning, Erin.
Emily, I'm gonna let you handle the mic. I'm gonna after Terry does the breathing exercise, but I'll be doing the curation of the content so I can put it in the blog.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay. Good morning, Erin.
Good morning, Erin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're excited. I'm like, I just turned on my main computer. Sorry about that. So let me go ahead and start. If anybody could, go ahead and retweet the space. And again, quick reminder, we are live streaming on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter Live. So you would have to, once you grab the mic, you're allowing us to record you, and the space is recorded. And Twitter allows you to keep the recording will stay here. So. But as you know, we are still in membership drive. I want to do some housekeeping. Women communication has been. I'm like Emily. I'm like Emily. Check our awcsf.org. I wrote the blog already.
Oh, yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you.
That's what I did this week, and I'm writing everything, so I don't have to worry about it on Monday. I'm gonna go back in and embed the code of everything we talked about. So, so we're still in our membership drive, and it's $114 because we're discounting our fees and our national $50 fee. So you're saving $85 with that membership drive. We have an incredible back part of our nationals website, which has all these wonderful data of all the different women that have been part of our organization or that are still up, and you get some special prices for our upcoming conference, and also pretty much free webinars that they offer, which they host incredible women who are lecturing. So, and there's some other I think there's books and different things you can get discounted at, and also we finished creating this symbol so that you can put it on your website, because I just I brought this up to them, and we never even thought to do this, and I was like, I think now, especially because of the pandemic, everyone wants to say, hey, I'm part of an organization, and why not be part of an organization that's been around since 1909? So we're going to be sending that out to our new members, and Emily, thank you for recruiting. We got a few, we got some members joining us, so I look forward to that. And we're planning to do more education, and continue doing the Empower Yourself Monday. I think these type of conversation is important just to show where women were and where they went and where they are today. I mean, we haven't really met in person since February 29th of 2020, and a lot has changed for a lot of us. And so today our special guest is Erin Lee, and I look forward to hearing her story. It's an incredible story. So Emily, the mic is yours. Her bio should be there. I wrote it all out, everything. So, and again, Erin, thank you for being here. I look forward to getting to know you better, and I'm so excited by hearing your story.
Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Hey, Erin, I'm so excited to have you here today. And I'm just going to give everybody else a brief introduction on you because you're just an amazing woman, and I'm so excited to have you here.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So to tell everybody who's listening a bit about Erin, she is a native Floridian. In childhood, she often had clairvoyant experiences before she fully understood the information that she was receiving. And as a teenager, she had a premonition that she would be hospitalized with a severe injury. 2 weeks later, a traumatic car accident kept her inpatient for 10 days. In adulthood, leaving her abusive relationship led Erin to feel safe to further explore her psychic gifts. And she began with oracle card readings, eventually getting attuned as a Reiki practitioner in 2014. With each major life event, despite the challenges that she has had to face and the obstacles that she has had to overcome, she grew stronger in her psychic and mediumship abilities. Connecting and communicating has been the overarching theme of her entire life, first as a radio personality and later as a psychic medium. This work is sacred. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to help her clients feel strong, empowered, and comforted. And it's our privilege to have her here today. I've been privileged enough to have a reading done by Erin, and it was incredible. And I'm thrilled for you to be able to share what you do today with everybody who's listening.
Thank you so much, Emily. And that was a wonderful introduction. So I appreciate you taking the time to really share with our listeners today kind of my backstory.
Absolutely. So I have a billion questions, but the very first thing I want to start with is I want to know, we ask everybody, when did you first join onto social media? So were you an early adopter, like back in the early days of social? Did you start on Twitter? Where did you begin?
I have actually been doing social media since the MySpace days. I'm super old school. So and I have always, through my work in broadcasting and communications, we have always kind of been at the forefront of how are people using social media? How are people communicating with one another? And how can we best reach them, right? So I joined Facebook as soon as it transitioned over from college to everyone. I joined Instagram from the beginning of the platform, kind of have always been at the forefront of whatever has been, breaking and new, because I'm always looking for the best way to be able to reach and communicate with the people who are interested in my services.
I love that. And so have you found then that you're using, let me now ask, so when you got into communication, how did you first get into radio broadcast or decide to go into communication? Was that a first choice for you? Was that something you always wanted to do?
100%. From the time I was 8 years old, I was sitting with a cassette recorder and bringing the neighbor kids into my house and having them do radio shows with me.
That's amazing.
So I've been, my parents are huge music fans. They've been taking me to concerts since I was 5 years old. And I do the same for my son, who's now almost 13. Like, music is the thread of all of our lives. Also, my family is all musically gifted. My son is a drummer and a keyboardist. I sing. My husband plays guitar and bass. So that's a huge part of my identity as well. But, like I made it a point to say in my bio that you introduced me with in the beginning, that communicating went from me doing radio to me communicating with people and helping them grow their own intuitive gifts, connect in their own spiritual ways, learn more about themselves and who they are and connect with their family members and loved ones on the other side. So it was such a natural transition to go from communicating for an audience about my passion for music to communicating with people about my passion for helping and healing.
And what a transition. I mean, it really does seem like it's an easy leap, but I don't know that everybody, not an easy leap, but you were able to connect what it is that the gifts that you have with your skills and communication. But for many people, it would feel like such a separation between the two, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, like from the spiritual world and the communication world and radio and all of that. So what was the first indication for you? Well, actually, wait, first question. What was your first concert at 5 years old? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I went to see Julian Lennon, John Lennon's son.
Oh, amazing. What a
Yeah.
concert then to start with. Okay.
Yeah, and this was 1986. I was 5. So, and sitting like literally in the first couple rows, I grew up in Central Florida, so it was in Tampa. And we got there early enough that the gentleman who was adjusting the spotlights for the show saw me and turned the spotlight on me during the show so Julian could wave at me. It was crazy, like having that connection from such a young age.
I mean, no wonder you fell in love with music then in concert. Yeah, I mean, it was such an experience. That's so cool. So then, as a child, you recognized that you had these psychic abilities and clairvoyant gifts?
100%. So, and it would come in little bursts, and I didn't understand like what I was receiving, or, when you're little, you don't know like what being psychic is or what it means to be able to read people or even read yourself. So, I would go places like to antique shops and I would catch my reflection in the mirror and it would be me looking different, like from another lifetime. And this was about age 14, 15. So it was around like middle school, high school age that I first started having things come to me that I'm like, this is probably not what happens to other people.
Right. Was it overwhelming? Was it something that you were like cool with, or did that freak you out at first?
It wasn't that it freaked me out. It was just kind of confusing because how do you, again, as and again, with me being a parent now and having a child that basically the age I was when I first started awakening to these gifts, obviously he has the advantage of me being able to teach him these things, but I didn't have that with my family. So I very distinctly remember when I was 11, I was in 6th grade, we were house hunting and my parents were going from renting to owning for the first time. And we went into a house that I immediately had this sense of dread come over me. And I knew that someone had been killed there. And at 11, 12 years old, how do you convey that? How do you reconcile that with, am I making this up? Is this my imagination? And then as we're touring the house, I have this awful feeling in the pit of my stomach. And then I see a shotgun underneath the couch sticking out.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, I guess that confirms how I'm feeling. So we left the house and my parents weren't crazy about it. We had looked at a couple others, but they were going to put a bin on it. And I just told them that I felt bad about it in general. I didn't really get into details, but they listened to me, thankfully. So ultimately we didn't end up moving into that place, but they had seriously considered it and were going to bid on it. And I said, I just really I didn't feel comfortable there. I felt kind of scared. I wasn't happy, in a child way, explained it the best that I could.
Right. But, amazing that you were able to at least voice what you were feeling and tap into that. Because at 11, that's hard. That's a tough age to express those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, kind of confusing going, okay, is this something I saw on TV? Is this something I'm making up in my head? Or is this, but, thankfully I was able to kind of tap into my gut instinct from a very young age and recognize, even if I didn't understand what it was, that it didn't make me feel good in some cases, or that it did in others.
And so this isn't something you said, this isn't something that ran in your family at all, even generations past or anything like that you know of?
No, not at all. Actually, come to find out much later in my life, my father who raised me is not my biological father, and I believe it's on that side of the family. But since I didn't grow up with them, I don't intimately have that knowledge about them.
Okay. And you said you're passing down to your son like how to tune into that and how to kind of tap into his intuitions. Does he seem to have the gift as well?
Yeah, absolutely. He asked me to be. I became a Reiki practitioner when he was 5, and he asked me to be Reiki attuned as well. And at first, I kind of brushed him off because he was in kindergarten, like literally kindergarten age. And I was like, oh, he probably just wants to do it because he sees mommy doing it, right? Because at that age, you do. And I was like, oh, son, I don't know. I don't know if they teach classes for kids. I'm not sure if this is something you can do. So he kept on asking me over the course of probably 6 or 8 weeks. He would ask me multiple times. And finally, one day we were sitting with each other and he grabbed my face in his hands and he looked me right in the eye, which he never does. And he said, Mother, call your Reiki master. I want to learn.
Wow. Okay.
5 years old, this child. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I get it. And it's something that, now that he's almost a teenager, he's more interested in just being a kid. He plays drums, he's a Boy Scout, he skateboards. So he's doing, all the things that a typical almost teenager does. And he's less interested in exploring the spiritual stuff as he gets older. But he also knows that he has somebody in the house that can help him anytime he needs it. So.
Right, which is amazing. And do you find that, are you able to kind of like, is it a bonding experience, at least when he was younger and you were able to start doing it together? Were you doing Reiki on one another and being able to practice together? See, that's amazing. I feel like there's not enough, it's so much screen time and stuff with kids these days that's such a cool thing.
The other thing too is that, he's first and foremost an animal communicator. So he connects with our pets and also with animals just out in nature. Like he'll have full on conversations, like more when he was little, but even every so often now, like we live in a condo and there's a lake where we live, and he'll go downstairs and sit with the ducks and talk to the ducks and the geese and the iguanas and the squirrels, and just like he's having a conversation with a person.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So if there's other parents listening, how can they help their children to nurture the gift in their kids, or how can somebody nurture the gift in themselves?
So for me, the way that I taught my son, and I use the same exercises with him that I do when I teach adults. I offer classes here locally, periodically, either in small groups or one-on-one. But usually it's just exercises in trusting your intuition first and foremost, because that's something that as a child we're more in touch with, but as we grow into adulthood, we second guess ourselves, or we're critical of ourselves, or self-doubt creeps in, anxiety creeps in, and we trust ourselves less, right? So the kind of exercises that I offer are so simplistic, but it's things like am I thinking of this or that? Am I thinking of cup or plate? Am I thinking of chair or couch? And I tell people, whatever your first answer is going to be correct. And 99.9% of the time, and by the way, you don't have to be psychic to practice your intuitive abilities or gifts. Everybody has the gift of gut instinct, right?
Absolutely.
So, those exercises, or remember the game that you played in childhood where you would put 3 cups on the table and you would put an object underneath one cup, shuffle the cups around, and then try and figure out or guess which one it was under?
Yep.
That's another one that I use, that I taught him early on, and that I use with adults as well. Sometimes it's putting one object under a cloth and having them describe everything that they sense about it. So is it smooth or rough? Is it shiny or dull? Is it large or small? And again, every time I do these exercises, people surprise themselves with how much they're able to receive.
That's really cool. And so I guess that's how other people can nurture their gifts. tell us a bit more about yours. Like, what exactly do you do as a medium? What do you do for readings for people? Tell people what it is you do and what that's like.
So the process varies a little bit depending on the service I'm offering, because the thing that I really want to stress is that regardless of the tool that I'm using, whether it's cards or a pendulum or crystals or just my clairvoyance, which is psychic sight, clairaudience, psychic hearing, whether I'm using all the tools, no tools, any and everything in between, it's a means to an end. So it's connecting people with their spirit guides and helping them receive the messages that they need to hear, whether it's from family members who have passed, friends that have passed, whether it's practical life advice, like what's going on with their career, their love lives. So it depends on what the person chooses. And if they come to me and have never had a reading before, they'll say, I'm not sure what to pick. So we'll kind of have a little conversation back and forth, and I'll get a feel for, are you having physical ailments, or are you stressed and anxious? You might need Reiki, which is, energetic healing and clearing your chakras. Whereas if they feel good energetically, they're not stressed or anxious, and they are just looking for some guidance or life advice, I might just pull cards for them instead. Now, when it comes to a mediumship reading, I'm sitting down either one-on-one with someone in person or via video chat even. And typically, whomever they're looking to connect with, I'm personally able to connect with. Every medium is different, so I can't speak for anyone else's experience except my own. But so far, knock on wood, I'm sitting at my table. I've never had an instance where someone has come to me looking to connect with a specific person or family member and have not been able to.
Which that's pretty powerful, and that's amazing to me, as somebody who does not have that gift, or has not tapped into that side of my intuition. That's incredible to me, like, just to be able to specify one specific person in the spirit world, to be able to channel that one person. So I know, do you have, does that person have to bring like an object from their loved one, or is it something you're just able to tap into spirits that are around them? How does that work?
So having a picture or an object is great. It helps, but it's not completely necessary either. Like I look at it as like a bonus. But if I was sitting one-on-one with someone right now in front of me and they said, hey, my grandma's in spirit, I would love to be able to connect with them. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. So basically it's like watching a movie or watching a television show for me. So I'm looking kind of over their shoulder, but it's not, I don't physically see the person standing with them, the person in spirit standing with them. It's more like I'm watching it on a screen or watching it on TV. So I'm seeing a point in time or a place in their life. Sometimes I'm seeing you in your childhood home with them, or the place that they grew up, or a place that was special to them together. But I'm typically able to place, certain things about that would be memorable, that would validate, hey, I'm with your person. This is the memory that they have to share to validate that they are who they are. Does that make sense?
100%. And I'm actually glad that you mentioned about like the validation of it, because like personally, I'm somebody who does believe in the spiritual world and believe in clairvoyancy, and I'm huge on like being able to connect with people who have passed. But I know there's a lot of skeptics out there, and I'm sure you deal with that a lot. And so I'm very curious. One of the questions I wanted to ask you was, how do you kind of validate what you're doing when you encounter a skeptic, or what should skeptics consider when thinking about having a reading with you, perhaps?
So literally, skeptics are my favorite because it's more of a challenge, right? So if you sit down with somebody that's already I'm 100% in, I believe everything you're saying, there's a level of trust and intimacy that I already innately have with that person, just based on whether they know me or not, or they've had a word of mouth recommendation, or whatever the case may be. But when someone comes to me and they're like, and it doesn't happen often. I could count on maybe one hand the number of times that I've had someone come to me and say, I'm not really sure I believe in this at all. And often my answer, if someone is not doing a reading with me and they just want to kind of troll me or argue with me, I'll say, well, whether you believe it or not, I know what my personal experience is. So, you can't invalidate the experiences that I've had. And in terms of being able to validate based on what I see and hear, if you've ever had any kind of experience, anyone listening, with a psychic medium, whether it's having a reading yourself or watching someone like Tyler Henry, Thomas John Edward on television, you know that they're able to tell you things that there's absolutely no way that they would know. And same for myself. When I'm doing a reading for someone, sometimes I'll hear things in like phrases or bits and pieces. And I'm like, I'm just going to say this because I don't know you. This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to me, but it doesn't need to. It's for me to tell you so you understand. So there's been times where I've told people like about a favorite food or something that someone cooked for someone else. Food comes through a lot, funny enough. Sometimes we had a special holiday tradition that we did together, or we had a favorite band that we listened to music together. I get messages about music a lot because spirit knows I'm connected to music. So oftentimes it'll be, hey, this was our favorite song, or this was the song we danced to at our wedding, or this was, I've read, unfortunately, for people whose children have passed, and it was, oh, he was a huge fan of this band and we were supposed to go to this concert together, or we listened to them, or we grew up on this, or whatever the case may be. So there's different ways that, your loved ones will come through, or spirit guides will come through to validate that connection, that there's no way that unless I know you intimately and personally that I could know. And actually, piggybacking on that, when I'm reading somebody that I do know personally, spirit has to work a little bit harder to give me things that I wouldn't know about them from our friendship or relationship.
Yeah, I would think that actually would probably be a little more, I guess, confusing or muddled a little bit when it is somebody who's closer to you, to kind of pinpoint or be able to give that kind of credibility to it. But I think that's the concept of the music being so strong. Is that something that kind of led you to radio as well, or made that connection to jump in on that side of communication? I mean, I know you said you went to concerts and all of that, but I guess music is such a strong thing. Anybody who just watched Stranger Things knows music is a really, really strong thing.
Oh, yes.
And do you have a Vecna song? What's your favorite song? What would save you?
I think it would probably, I'm a huge Dave Matthews Band nerd, so it would probably either be a Dave Matthews Band song, which also buys you a lot of time because they jam extensively.
True.
So like while the saving and the battling is taking place, we've got like a 16-minute jam going on, so we're good, right?
That's a good point. Logical choice there too. Yeah. But no, I do think, I mean, I know some of the strongest memories I have with people who have passed are definitely musically based. So that's an interesting point you bring up with that.
Yeah. And, like I said, from childhood, music has always played a central role in my life. So again, spirit knows to communicate with me through music to help deliver messages. And that's not exclusively, that's just one of many ways. But even just hearing a song on repetition in multiple places is a message for me from spirit as well. There's times where over the course of sometimes 24, 48, 72 hours, I'll be in different places, and like, say I'm running errands or I'm at the doctor's office or in the grocery store or whatever, I'll hear specific songs and I'll hear them multiple times in a row. And by the third time I've heard it, I'm like, I should probably look at the lyrics to this and see what I'm supposed to receive. And it's often for myself in those instances, but sometimes for other people. And it's, it's not like if I heard a song that's popular on the radio right now that's everywhere anyway. It's like songs from 10, 15 years ago that may have been well played at one point, but shouldn't be everywhere now. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So like, for example, there was one time that I was just going through some really emotional, difficult, challenging times a few years ago. And I had gone to the nail salon, the grocery store, and one other place, I think the mall, in the course of 24 hours. And I heard, do you know Garth Brooks, To Make You Feel My Love?
Yes, I do.
So I heard that song 3 times. And by the 3rd time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and listen to the lyrics. And it's just really about overcoming challenges in your life and knowing that, you're loved and supported, whatever you're going through. And I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I needed to hear right now. So, again, sometimes the message is for myself, sometimes it's other people. Sometimes I have to sit and kind of meditate and focus on who it's meant for or what it's meant for. So, but the thing is that, spirit is constantly sending us messages like that, or little nudges or winks and nods. And I feel like the more tuned in you are, or the more frequently you're tuned in, the more you're likely to catch these things. Like people talk about seeing angel numbers, right? Like 111, 222, 333. I think that the more connected you are in the spirit world, or the more in tune you are with your gut instinct or intuition, the more likely you are to receive these recurring symbols, because it's at the forefront of your mind. Your vibration is raised. You're looking for these things. And even if you're not connected, or it's not at the forefront of your mind, you're being dropped these things. But I think sometimes that we get busy living our human existence, right? So we miss these things from time to time.
Can I ask you a quick question? Sorry, Emily. So, Erin, let me ask you something. What are your thoughts about what's happened in the last 2.5 years? Have you had a lot of people reaching out to you?
I'm sorry, say that again.
A lot of people have passed in the last 2.5 years, because of the pandemic. Have you had people reach out to you to talk to you?
Okay, so let me clarify that. Are you asking if I've had people in spirit reach out to me, or people reach out to me to connect with people in spirit?
No, people reach out to you to connect.
Yes, absolutely. I have had, over the last couple of years, not even just people who have passed from COVID, but people who passed during COVID from other things, but didn't get to see their family because of lockdown. So, unfortunately, whether you were, and I mean, this is very well known, whether you were hospitalized during that time for COVID or for something else, you weren't able to come in and visit family members. So there have been times where I've connected people with loved ones who, unfortunately, just the timing was as such where they didn't even pass from COVID, they passed from something else. But because of lockdown being as strict as it was at that time, they passed alone as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that because, I actually really relate to you. Have you been to Casadega?
So I have not been to Casadega, but I have been to Lilydale, which is the equivalent of that in Western New York State.
Oh, I've never been there. Yeah, I used to go to Casadega. Casadega, if anyone doesn't know, it's in Florida. Is it's between Orlando and Daytona. Am I correct? It's like.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I just haven't had the opportunity to go, and it's really funny because I grew up so close to there, but I didn't know about it until after I moved away.
I remember I went there back in the late '80s. Actually, it was before anyone even knew Casadega was there. It was because my girlfriend Swooze was just. Yes, her name was Swooze. She's a hairdresser. She was just like at the time, I think we all go through different parts of our lives where we have different careers. So I was into selling hair colors, and she was one of my accounts, and I became friends with her. And so she goes, let's take a day trip. Let's go to Casadega and we'll meet all these different people. And I thought it was really an interesting place where, and at the time they would, on sundown, they would close the gate. So you had to leave or get a hotel room there. It was really spiritual, but yet so the energy was so strong when you go through there. It's hard to explain to you. Like go there. And I just had this vision of you going there. That's why I wanted to ask if you've been to there.
That's excellent. So I'm going to take that as you're having a premonition of something that will happen to me in the future. So again, go figure. We all have the ability to intuit things or envision things that are coming for people around us or ourselves.
Well, I actually, my grandmother, I can't believe I'm going to talk about this, but my grandmother and my aunt, I'm from Vietnam, so they're considered a spiritual healer, but in Vietnam, they're considered like a shaman. But my grandmother speaks to the spirits. There's pictures of her. I could send it to you. Picture of her just sitting on this mountain talking, and then this I guess there's this woman or something floating, and it has to be with the firstborn girl. So I'm the firstborn in my that side of the family. So I've actually suppressed it because I was just, when I left Vietnam in 1975, it was like I was kind of happy because I didn't quite understand what it was about. Because
Right.
when you're like a little kid, your aunt, your grandma is like teaching you all by the time I was 8 years old, they're teaching me how to read palms. They're teaching me
Right.
talking about this and talking about how to like control your body function, like really. And my grandmother was very into Buddhism, and so they helped a lot of people. And I used to like go visit them, and she had this place where they took care of people. But I thought that maybe they were just bipolar or something. Just looking back, because she felt they were all like spiritually something was not right with them. So she took care of all these people. So today my grandma's passed away, but she actually planned her death and everything. Like she died on my birthday, by the way. So she planned her death. She was like, I want to see you back. And I've never gone back to my country. But my aunt actually built a Buddhist temple, and she's just like, when I talked to her, first time I spoke to her, like I found my cousins and my half sisters and brothers that I've never met on Facebook, believe it or not. Because I'm into longevity research. So I wanted to find out where all my siblings, where my DNA, where everyone like is part of my DNA, I want to know where they're at. So I found my relatives. And so I talked to my aunt, who I haven't spoken to since the last, like when I left Vietnam, which was like the last day of the Vietnam War. This was like 5 years ago. And she's like, first thing she said to me was, who have you helped? And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, who have you helped? Who have you done anything for? And then it kind of like brought me back, because I go out of my way just to help people. I just feel like that was my calling, just to help people. And, as a child, I ran away from it because I felt like, you don't understand that kind of stuff. I just remember looking out the plane the last day of the war. We're leaving with the American soldiers, and I'm looking out. And even though the window that I was looking out, the door, it was going up and down, and we weren't sure. Everyone's all hooked up except us, because we're like the only civilians sitting on this plane. I look out, and I was just, the only thing I can remember at that moment in time was, I'm so glad I'm leaving this country. I'm leaving this because I don't have to be sitting here learning all this stuff that they were teaching me. And I was never really into it. But when I went to Casadega, I just remember people following me and people asking me questions. So I still don't really like empower myself in that sense. I just know that, things that come to me, I just do it because I feel like, I meet someone, I might not have met them in person, but I spoke to them, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to help this person because I need to empower them, because I felt that need to. So when I was listening to you talk, and I was kind of like, let me share you something about myself. And I just saw you going to Casadega. I just feel like you need to go there. And you'll see, I haven't been there. Again, I haven't been there since the late 80s. I don't even know what it's like now. But I know it's such a powerful spiritual way. And then people from all over the world go there to like just learn more about their gift,
First of all, thank you for sharing your life with me. That the imagery of you leaving was so strong and so powerful that I was picturing it as you were saying it. But further on, adding to that is, yes, to validate you, it is scary or confusing when you're young to try and make sense of it or piece it together. And even when you do have the right people guiding you and leading you, sometimes it's like, oh, that's more than I know what to do with, or that's more than I know how to handle. Or again, as I mentioned before, as you get older, you're taught to not trust your instinct, or not or to second guess yourself. I feel like, especially as women in our society or in our culture here in the United States, that it's just, be nice to people and don't contradict and don't don't rock the boat. And thankfully there's been a sea change of that, and I feel like women in subsequent generations are experiencing at least a little less of that. But we're kind of taught to just go along to get along from an early age, and we're taught to not really be in tune with our intuition or to trust what we're receiving. And it's honestly the most powerful gift that you can give yourself is trusting your gut.
But I feel that it takes time too. I think you're blessed at a young age, and you had parents that were like empowered you. But not all of us are that blessed, because most of the time we're almost, we were taught to say no. Just the first thing a child is taught is no, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
no. I mean, you
Yeah.
already put fear in the kid before the kid even had a chance to walk yet. So I think that's I give you kudos for your family and your parents for accepting your intuition and embracing it, because a lot of time it takes time, because the younger me, the younger me that didn't, I feel I'm more powerful now compared to when I was 20, 21, 24, or even at 18 or 19, because at that time you're young and you feel like you're so, beautiful and young and doing whatever you want in the world. But then the insecurity just creeps in, because you never know what your value is, and you have to go through stages in your life. So like, can I ask you, like, did you ever gone through any stages in your life where you felt like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm good enough, or until, and then when did you start saying, hey, you know what, I can do anything?
Oh my goodness, constantly, especially the first few years that I was doing this, where I was transitioning out of radio and transitioning into doing this as my full-time work. I was like, am I really good enough to do this full time? Am I am I going to be able to connect with people consistently? Am I going to be able to help people in the ways that I need to? And I feel like that self-doubt is a normal part of the process, and that you almost kind of have to train yourself out of it, for lack of a better way to describe it. Like, you have to talk yourself into, or use mantras to build yourself up and encourage yourself and say, and also I think the more practice or the more experience that you have doing it, and the more people that you have as clients that are validating, yes, this makes sense to me, what you're saying, or yes, you were able to successfully connect with my loved ones in spirit, or yes, this is happening, the more of that positive feedback you get, the more it builds your confidence in, okay, I do know what I'm doing, and it's working for yourself, and especially working for yourself doing what I do. There's not a boss to report to. There's not someone that sits me down and does an evaluation on me. So I have to rely on my clients to give me that validation or that feedback of, yes, you were right on the money. And it's actually come up quite a bit recently, I would say, over the last year or so, where I've had readings that I will see things in the future. And obviously, in that moment when I'm giving the reading, they can't say, oh, yeah, that has happened to me, because it hasn't yet. So, readings that I did back in March, I'm now having clients coming back to me, messaging or emailing me saying, hey, what you predicted for me 3 months ago is now coming true. And specifically exactly the way that you told me it would, or described how it would. And it's been different things. It was a romantic relationship for one client. It was a career move for another client. But these were things that I didn't just say, oh, I see you getting a raise. It was like, no, I see you moving from X career to Y career, receiving a promotion, receiving a raise, whatever the case may be. It's very specific information that I'm receiving, because you could go to anyone and have them say, oh, I see something vague in the future for you. So, I wanted to make it a point to really communicate that when I'm doing these readings, it's very specific information that I'm giving, so that people are able to, when it comes up, say, hey, oh, I remember Erin telling me in my reading that X, Y, and Z was going to happen. Now I can come back to her and say that it came true.
Yeah, I love that. I think a lot of people go through. See, my problem when I go to a spiritual reading is I tend to read them. So
Yeah,
I try not to too much
right.
because it gets confusing.
It's hard to be the sitter. It's definitely, especially if you have any kind of intuitive gifts like that. There's a very small handful of people that I trust to read me at this point. But I try to just keep my mouth shut and let happen what's supposed to happen, because, the ability to read oneself, people ask me sometimes, oh, are you able to read yourself? And I'm like, to a degree, yes, I can pull cards for myself, but it's almost always just spirit validating something that I already know is happening or going to be happening. It's hard to be objective when you're reading yourself.
Yeah, like the one sec I remember. So I have launched a cosmetic company called NARS Cosmetics out of Saks Boca Raton. So we used to do. I met Jill Dane. I don't know if you know who Jill Dane is. She's like a psychic reader. It's like her mom is Bobby Dane, or she's like. So Jill would come. I would have to do like this whole psychic reading over the lipstick. Like you read you do your lipstick and she read the reading for you, and that was just
That
part.
is so cool.
Yeah, right. So that we would do that every year for Beauty Week, and Jill and I just. I mean, I met her, and I would like have her come in, and then she would be part of the cosmetic department at Saks Boca. And so I remember this one reading she gave me, because the only one time that I like had the time to listen to her, and she goes, "I see you speaking to thousands of people,
That's
thousands."
amazing.
And I was like, back then I was just like, I was just a cosmetic girl. I mean, like cosmetic
Right.
girls, we look good, we smell good, we make decent money, but we're not too motivated to do anything else. And at the time I was just kind of like, I'm just here living in Boca and enjoying being a cosmetic girl, and I'm launching this cosmetic company, NARS, and at the time is we only had like 12 tubes of lipsticks, and we had some eyeshadow and some multiple sticks. We didn't have nothing, and I'm like, okay, Jill, thank you, Jill. And so I didn't even think about like. And then here, years go by, and then I became the Southeast trainer, and then I got in a car accident, and like things happened to me that where I just didn't even dawn on me into what she was talking about until like I started doing talk radio at 1340 WPBR AM station in Lake Worth.
Mhm.
And at the time when I launched Social Chats, it's my brand, didn't even think about it, and then she and I somehow we found each other on Facebook, and I looking back, I talked to her on the phone, and she came to visit me too one day. I did an event, and I go, God, Jill, you're right about what you said about me. She goes, what do you mean? She didn't even remember saying this to me. And I said, I remember you telling me that one day you see me speaking to thousands of people. And I never could understand what you meant by that, because I at the time when she told me this, I would stutter. I would like break out in sweat if I had to speak in public. Like now today, if I'm in front of people and you give me the mic, I won't give the mic back to you. I'll be like all over the place. So, like I just feel like sometimes you never know where your life leads you. And if someone comes along and mentions it to you, if you're able to open your eye and just kind of like accept that gift, because it is a gift when somebody comes along and tells you something that you didn't think that you can ever do. Because most people, it's not in your thought, until someone else comes and say, hey, I see you doing this. So I feel like it's a gift. And, I appreciate you for being here and just, like, that's why I want to share you that story, because that someone else enlightened me. And then there's this other psychic. I remember, okay, this is so funny. I can't believe I'm telling you guys this. And I should be on my personal profile, but I was getting, her name is Aphrodite. She's another psychic reader. And that's when I realized I can't read. I can't be around other people that are doing reading to me, because I tend to I have an alpha issue. Like I have to my spiritual animal, or whatever you want to call it, has to she be reading for me while I'm getting my belly button pierced. This is back in the late 80s. I'm giving her a reading, and everything I read to her came true, and it was just really weird. And she told me all this stuff that's going to happen to me, and it actually came true too, because she told me the guy you're with is not going to be the guy you're going to be with, and so true after that. And I used to thought that maybe she say something that put something in my mind, but I think she validated me, because I wasn't really happy with what was going on in my life at the time. And when she told me that, so I would run into her out of the blue, and her name is Aphrodite. That's how I remember her as. And she was at in West Palm Beach. That's that downtown Clematis. There used to be I think it's still around there, but it's a bar that was kind of very gothic, when I first moved here.
Fun.
You know what I'm talking about? It's
Yep.
and so she was there late at night. out of the blue be giving people reading while they're getting piercing. It was just so weird. But
Serendipitous.
yeah, but I'm just saying to you, like, you never know. You never know in life because, some people go through life not ever having that ripple. I call it the ripple effect when you just,
Oh
what if you
yeah,
met someone, right? You know what I'm talking about? If you didn't meet that person, you wouldn't go down that path. But if you met someone,
exactly.
right? So I wanted to share that with you too, because that's really important. I think, for people, especially now, I feel like with a lot of career changes, a lot of like you can see so many different technologies catching up, startups are happening, people are quitting their job and like starting their own. I see doctors and nurses leaving the hospitals that they've been with forever and starting their own telemedicine. Like it's an incredible time we're living in. So I want to kind of ask you one more question.
Sure.
It's like, do you see where you're going to go?
So I have, obviously I have goals and things I'd like to accomplish for myself, but I've had highly credible colleagues in my field tell me that they see me long-term doing platform mediumship. So what I mean by platform mediumship is where you are on a stage in a large group of people in an audience and reading for people on that scale. To where, like I said before, where I mentioned John Edward. I keep referencing him because he's probably the most well-known psychic medium of the last couple decades, right? So where you're standing on a stage, you're standing and looking into a crowd of people. And it's something that I've done a handful of times here locally, but it's also something that I would like to grow and continue to do. Because for me, like you were saying before, you hand me the microphone, I'm not handing it back. So naturally for me, standing up in front of a crowd of people, I'm completely comfortable with doing. And again, I really feel like everything that I learned as a broadcaster was giving me the tools that I needed to do this work now.
It's kind of weird. We lost Emily. I was trying to give her the microphone, but yeah. Well, see, I see you doing that. Emily and I, and Terry, we're gonna be, because we have the Perpetual Life church. Oh, here we go. I must get her to come up here because I want to. Also, today is her birthday. Okay, I can't add you. Invite
Whose
to co-host.
birthday is it? Sorry.
Today is Emily's birthday.
Oh, that's so funny because I was literally, as you were sitting here talking to me about your experiences with having had readings, I was like, I feel like Emily's birthday is coming up, and it's funny because we don't know each other that well, but I just had it in the back of my head for whatever reason. I didn't know that it was today, but I felt like it was soon.
I'm going to remove her from co-host and see if she can come up as a speaker, so we can wish her a happy birthday. And also, we want to do a closing thoughts with Terry because I was so excited having you here that I didn't get a chance to have. Terry does his breathing exercise for us, and we need it before the week starts. But so we should talk offline. Emily, Terry, and I, I'm part of the Perpetual Life Church. It's in Pompano Beach. We just opened it, and there's
Awesome.
I think it's 2.5 acres of land. So we're planning to do some like Midsummer Night's Dream type of deal.
Oh, I love that.
Like really cool stuff.
Also, sorry, I was going to say also before we wrap up, I'm sitting here with my deck of cards and I wanted to pull a card for you guys before we go as well.
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay. So I wanted to pull something that would be a general message for everybody that's listening. Okay, this is actually really cool. I pulled a card called Page of Fire, and the overall message is outgoing, creative, confident, mischievous. So the message that everyone that's listening needs to receive is to being open to new creative endeavors. So if you have, whether you have a project that you're currently wrapping up, or you're at the beginning of looking to start something new, kind of keep your feelers open or your eyes and ears peeled for making new connections with people who want to help you further your message or your own personal platform. So that goes for you all as hosts and for everyone as listeners. And I'm saying this, that no matter what field you work in, what you do for a living, and whether it's your primary career or your quote unquote side hustle, that now is the time to really unleash your creativity and be willing to explore things that maybe you are stepping outside of your comfort zone in doing, because the energy around this message that I'm receiving is that everyone that's in this group listening right now is meant to push themselves outside of their normal comfort zone, and to take things that they're passionate about and fired up about and channel that message into something that will elevate the people around you. And it's very much like a group effort energy. So whatever you're currently working on or you're looking to start working on, be open to, there's no such thing as a quote unquote crazy idea, right? Sometimes I feel like we give up on something before we really start it because we feel like, oh, there's no way I could ever execute this. Maybe not on your own, but when you're connected with the right people who are like-minded, you might find the parts of the puzzle that you're missing. Like, say, for example, I'm great at communicating. I'm great at connecting people with one another. I'm great at helping and healing. I am not good at like the paperwork aspect of things. So like I need business minded people when I start a project to help keep me organized, right? So if that's you, whichever side of the coin you're on, you look for the person that's going to help you fill in your gaps, because there's such good energy in the air right now for making good connections with people who can help you further your message or help you grow in your next project. So I hope that resonates with everyone listening.
Oh, definitely with me.
Perfect.
I'm always in a project, but I have a big one that I've been talking about, and like I'm in the process of launching too. And my good friend Louis is here too. I've been pushing him to launch his music NFTs and it'd be his first one. He has a huge following in Web 2, but Louis I'm a co-host for his space on Sunday night. So we've been talking about his music NFT, and we're gonna do it. And then my good friend Debbie is here. She's from Canada also, and Debbie's doing an incredible job blogging and doing great things in her platform also. And we have to catch up with it. She's actually was one. I think she's number 2. She was our episode 2 for Empower Yourself Monday also.
That's
But Erin,
awesome.
I really appreciate you being here. Before we let you go, and Terry, I really need your breathing exercise because it has to be part of the program. because but for Terry, what happened is someone else wasn't feeling good. Brent, he had a hard time breathing. I'm like, just go to Empower Yourself Monday on YouTube and listen to the first episode, all the first section of the space, and you'll be able to follow her exercise, and it helped him a lot. So Erin, before we let you go, can you tell our listeners how to get a hold of you? And I appreciate you again for being here, being part of this conversation. So empowering, and so to prove that changes is good, changes is powerful, and and accept it when change comes to you.
Absolutely, 100%. So you can direct message me here on Twitter. It's at Erin Lee Radio. Feel free to reach out to me via my website. It's www.thegoldenhearthealer.com. Also on Instagram, I am at Psychic Medium Erin Lee, and same goes for Facebook. So when you want to book a session with me, you just have to message me and we'll communicate whatever works for your schedule. And also, it doesn't matter if you're local to South Florida or anywhere in the country or the world. I have clients that are scattered across the globe, and we can do a reading from anywhere. We'll find a way to make it happen. It's actually exactly the same. And I really like to emphasize that because people always ask me, oh, well, is it better to do in person? Does not matter one way or the other. The energy exchange transcends being in the physical presence of one another.
I love that. Thank you so much. And Terry, the mic is yours. My gosh, we were so excited about Erin being here. I was like, oh my gosh.
All right.
Let's close out this with a breathing and mindfulness with Terry Michaels.
Okay, everybody. Regardless if you're standing, sitting, laying down, just close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Again, inhale through your nose. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Hold it. And exhale. Relax your face. Relax your jaw. Relax your neck. Gently breathing in and out through your nose now. Relax your shoulders, your chest. Visualize the stress from your upper body going down your arms and out through your fingertips. Relax your torso, your hips. Let it all go. Visualize the stress going down your legs, out through your toes, and you're completely relaxed. Gently breathing in and out through your nose. Any thoughts that go through your mind, just visualize them passing by like clouds in the sky. Gently breathing in and out. And as your eyes are still closed, some closing thoughts. Recovery is not a goal. It is a process. You never stop repairing and renewing yourself. You must absorb the light and shadow of each day you live. Don't keep your spirit stuck in yesterday as a new day begins. Prayer is process. Namaste. May the divine in me honor the divine in you. Thank you.
Namaste, Terry. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you
My
more than you ever think
pleasure.
of. Thank you, everyone. And again, everyone, thank you so much for being here. And stay tuned to next Monday at 10 a.m. We go to our episode 27. And Erin, thank you so much. We'll chat offline. I appreciate you for taking the time to come share your story. And it's so empowering. And I appreciate you more than you could imagine. And again, you know, it's like someone waking up your, I don't know, I call it my third eye. But
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you again so much for having me. I really, really enjoyed this conversation so much and sharing this space with all of you.
Thank you, Erin.
thank you, Erin. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Louie. Thank you, Debbie. Bye, everybody. Have a
care.
great
Love you
Monday.
guys.
Stay motivated. Love you.
Bye.